restroom, bathroom, none of it's for real. Like,
I just want to say hi before we get started. I think I may have called you. Just so that you know.
it's amazing. Well, I never know where I am.
So far, so good. He's being retired as of December. His retirement parties
My kids are going.
but yeah, no, just a good team all around building up like our new skills. You know your stars, all right?
Good evening, everyone. And I have to apologize for us coming out here late, so we started the lateness tonight, so I apologize. So good evening. Everyone, we'll call to order our regular city council meeting for April 1st, not an April Fool's joke, April 1st, 2025. And I'd like to actually call up our newest troops for American Canyon, the Daisy Co-op troop number 31566. Can you guys come up here and help lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Thank you. So we're all going to stand as we recite our Pledge of Allegiance with the support of the Daisy Co-op troop. You guys will begin for us.
Ready, begin.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You guys did amazing. Who's the troop leader? Do you mind just trying to tell us a little bit about the troops real quick? Oh, if you could go to the mic, please. I know.
Hello, my name is Lisa Roque. I am the co-op leader for this troop. We actually just started. This is our second month, and we're missing one of our girls, but we're pretty much full. So we got a lot of the girls. We've started off with, this is our very first community event that we have done. We've done a lot of friendship. What else have we done?
Friendship bracelets, we've done the first troop meeting, we just had the girls get to know each other because they go to all the different elementary schools in American Canyon.
Yeah, American Canyon and one in Napa. So there's a lot of girls from different schools here. So we wanted them to get to know each other first. So
Well, you guys did an amazing job, and this will not be your last time. So
Thank
we
you.
will welcome you back. Thank you. And Madam Clerk, can you do a roll call, please?
I think Councilmember Brando Cruz,
Here.
Councilmember Melissa Lamatina,
here.
Councilmember David Oro,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mark Joseph,
Here.
Mayor Pierre Washington.
I'm here. Report on closed session, Mr. Ross.
Mayor Washington, members of the council, members of the public, your council convened in open session at 4:01 p.m. And after ascertaining that there were no comments on the matters agendized for closed session consideration, adjourned to closed session at 4:01. You concluded the closed session at 6:34 p.m. I will do a written report upon return from closed session as authorized by Government Code Section 54-957.1B. That would conclude the report unless there are questions.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Ross. Moving on to our proclamations and presentations for this evening. Tonight we have one proclamation and two presentations. The first proclamation, item number 6, is for Earth Day, April 22nd. And is there a recipient for the Earth Day proclamation? I'll read the proclamation, and then I'll give you a few moments to say something, and then we'll do a picture in the front. Proclamation, City of American Canyon for Earth Day, April 22nd, 2025. Whereas the global community now faces extraordinary challenges such as environmental and climate change, water and shortage, and international health issues. And whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a right to a healthy and sustainable environment. And whereas it is understood that the citizens of the global community must step forward and take action to create positive environmental changes to combat these global changes. And whereas we are all caretakers of the earth and have an obligation to combat climate changes and environmental degradation, to preserve the earth's beauty and resources. And whereas the sustainable environment can be achieved on the individual level through educational efforts, public policy, and consumer behavior changes. And whereas it is necessary to broaden the diversify this global movement to achieve maximum success. And whereas we encourage business owners, institutions, and individuals of American Canyon to celebrate the earth and to commit to being a good steward of our land and our water resources to create a sustainable and healthy community. And whereas on Earth Day, the American Canyon community is encouraged to preserve our natural resources by participating in efforts to reduce consumption and waste, encouraged to recycle, utilize renewable resources, eliminate pollution, and conserve water, land, and energy. And now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Pierre Washington, Mayor of American Canyon, on behalf of the City Council, do proclaim April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day in American Canyon and call upon our community to celebrate and participate in Earth Day for the entire month of April. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Janelle Selleck, Executive Director of the American Canyon Community and Parks Foundation, and I'm joined here tonight by our staff and several of our Teen Wild leaders. And I just want to take a moment and thank you all for inviting us here to accept the proclamation tonight. American Canyon is one of the most beautiful places to celebrate Earth Day, and this year we're not just celebrating one day, we're celebrating all month long. So we have for you tonight your Earth Month Guide, which includes dozens of activities throughout American Canyon, everything from docent-led walks and hikes to conservation activities to programs and events happening throughout the entire South County. So we really want to encourage you to come out and join and get involved. And tonight, I'm going to turn the microphone over to a very special group, I think, of our young folks. I'm extremely proud of the Teen Wild program. Not only at the foundation do we connect nature with community, but we also help develop the next generation of environmental leaders. And our Teen Wild leaders are really the kids that learn from us and get involved in the community and take that knowledge with them as they grow and we hope become future environmental leaders. So I'm going to turn it over to, I think, Quinn and Tate, who are going to share a little bit about Teen Wild and invite you to some special Earth Day events.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Quinn Hilton, and I'm here to highlight the remarkable Teen Wild program, which offers young people like me the chance to connect with nature, explore, and grow. Through hands-on experiences, we've learned about the environment, conservation, and the ecosystem that sustains us. More importantly, this program fosters empathy for our planet and instills a sense of responsibility as future leaders of change. Recently, the Napa River Ecology Center office was renovated to better accommodate our Teen Wild meetings. We were fortunate to have Ashley from Napa RCD speak to us about invasive plant species, particularly ice plants. This Saturday, we will be launching our first ever invasive plant removal project, and you can sign up at acparks.org to join us and help restoring the wetlands ecosystem. We are removing invasive ice plants for several reasons. It is a very short root system, so it erodes and damages soils. It reduces biodiversity, it harms native plants and animals, and outcompetes native plants. Our Teen Wild group has achieved significant milestones this year, including the removal of 600 pounds of trash from the wetlands. We are eager to accomplish even more. We spent the summer teaching NVUS students about the environment with the Outdoor Connection mobile classroom. It helped lead nature hikes and discovery days for the community, and 2 Teen Wild volunteers gave moving speeches at the Evening at the Ruins event in September. So I invite everyone to join us in supporting this journey. Let's empower the next generation to care, to act, and to inspire a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's very hard to follow that. Excellent job, Quinn. And I want to just give a quick plug for our Teen Wild program. It's a year-long program that runs May to May. And we accept up to 30 high school students from American Canyon, Napa County. We even have a Teen Wild leader from Vallejo right now. So if you know a teen that's interested in getting involved, this is a great way for them to do it. They're getting hands-on experience and gaining real-life work skills and conservation types of programs. So come out and see us on this Earth Day. Get involved. There's all the information online, and I think we have a flyer for everybody as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Quinn, and the rest of the team. We're going to take a picture in the front.
Quinn. Did you do it yourself? Oh, Amber did it. I was like, okay, it looks pretty good. All right. Oh, thank you. It's horrible. Because those give, I would think.
Thank you again, Janelle, Quinn, and the Teen Wild group. We're going to move on to item number 7, which is a presentation. It's a presentation actually that the City Council requested that we have presented during our workshop that we had back in February. It is a presentation on community benefit, the Community Benefits Program. Mr. Holly, will you introduce who's going to be doing the presentation?
Yeah, we'll get the presentation.
Mr. Parnell, could you please help us at the podium? Thank you.
It's the center one. And I can just forward this thing.
I would suggest that you just use the arrows here. It'd be a little easier for you to control.
Sounds good.
And you could just advance forward
Sounds
here.
good.
Go back. Okay. And if you need some
Thank you
help, I'm
very
here
much.
to help you.
So this is Alicia with the Sheet Metal Workers Local 104, and she's going to talk about, I believe, Community Benefits Program and relationship to the general plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this. Community Benefits Program is a bit of a misnomer. This is language that we're asking you to add to the general plan. It's not a program, which means that it requires no management, no reports, no administration, and best of all, it doesn't cost any money. So we're just asking for language. What are the concerns? An out-of-area workforce. Out-of-state and out-of-area workers tend to take back their money to wherever they came from, whether it's Arizona, Utah, Fresno, or San Diego. they tend to take their money, most of their money back where they came from. And that means that local tradespeople are passing by local jobs on their commute out of town to earn a family-sustaining wage. It means that there's more traffic on American Canyon roads and highways, and it starts a lot earlier because craftspeople have to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning to make that commute. It means that local people are spending less time with their families. They're missing out on things like the young ladies that were just in here. They're missing out on t-ball games and cheer events and soccer games, and maybe just an evening with a spouse or a loved one because they're sitting behind the wheel. More money spent on gas, which, by the way, the price of gas has not gone down as promised. It's costing more money. Imagine if you had to commute an hour or an hour and a half in the morning, and I guarantee you it's going to be 2 hours on the way home. Imagine what the cost of the gas is going to be. And more money spent on gas means less money spent at the local coffee shop, the local sandwich shop, local entertainment of many kinds. Local construction trades unions, and this is important because we're talking about apprenticeship requirements as well. Local trade unions have a robust outreach program. And we have been at Meet Me in the Street. We've been at Napa County Schools. We're trying to share the opportunity that the trades provide with young people, with the underserved community. We've even reached out to the formerly incarcerated. But we need the work once they get into the program. I read a statistic on Inside Higher ED and College Vine. 45% of graduating California seniors in 2023 entered a 4-year college. And of that 45%, 60% ended up with a credential or a degree after 8 years. In 2023, 16% of graduating seniors entered a vocational or trade school, and 4% entered the military. That's a total of 65%. What is the other 35% doing? Unless they're living off of their parents' trust fund, that's a really scary statistic. And so that's why we have such a robust outreach program. When there's no quality of training, a lack of labor standards generally means a lower quality project. No requirement to hire and train apprentices means that those apprentices, some of whom are training through the iron workers in Benicia, the sheet metal workers in Fairfield, and the pipe fitters in Vacaville, it means those apprentices are going to make that hour-long or hour-and-a-half commute to get their field time. They're getting their class time locally, but their field time, they're going to have to get someplace else. That also means that there's not enough opportunity for established, skilled and trained craftspeople to make their living in their own community. So they're getting a lot of windshield time as well. Hiring a low-road contractor usually means there's no formal training in the class. It usually means there's less productivity, more turnover, and sometimes even higher job injury rates. We got on the subject because the former mayor was lamenting the fact that he was doing a home improvement project, and after he hired someone, he discovered that that person was coming all the way from Stockton. And he could have spent that money on somebody local. And when I was here a few months ago to talk about language like this on a specific plan, I brought up the subject of the hotel on Broadway, and I'm going to keep on beating this dead horse. I visited that job when it was already a shell 2 years ago. It was not just pushing dirt around, it was underway. That project is a 9-month project tops. And here we are. That was in early 2023. Here we are in 2025. It's still not open, still not bringing in, transient occupancy tax. It's still not being productive. And the 2 trailers are still on that job site that have Florida license plates. And that's what a lack of standards in construction has caused. So, possible solutions. Standards on construction. What does the phrase low standard mean? It doesn't sound very positive. How about no standard? That sounds even worse. Let's put some standards into your general plan. According to the citywide, well, on the citywide PLA, you've got standards for a labor management apprenticeship program so that these apprentices on public works projects can get their field hours closer to home. Let's create that opportunity on private projects as well by adding that same language. This slide talks about Article 9 of the City Project Labor Agreement, which recognizes that need to develop apprenticeships through the state-approved and joint labor management programs. And apprenticeship ratios could easily mirror state standards, which is normally one apprentice. Non-union folks can already hire out of union halls if they have to make an apprenticeship standard, and they can continue to do that under this. Article 10 of the citywide PLA talks about a program called Helmets to Hard Hats, which we would like to see language in the general plan. Helmets to Hard Hats facilitates the entry of veterans into the building trades by giving them an expedited entry. And many trade unions participate in this program, and they work with the Military Center for Recruitment, Assessment, and Veterans Employment, which offers referral services, counseling, mentoring, a support network, and employment opportunities to assist veterans who are transitioning from military to civilian life. While we're not asking for prevailing wage language, I just wanted to talk about a study here done by the American Center for Progress about prevailing wage. And that says that higher wages, benefits, and formal training can lead to better productivity, better safety records, and often a job completed at a competitive rate. It also helps to close racial and gender pay gaps, promote quality work, and a good value for the end user. And research shows that high wage and benefit standards generate more work for local contractors, which reduces the outflow of local dollars, boosts state and local tax revenue, and levels the playing field for contractors who are already paying family-sustaining wages and benefits. I want to thank the council for allowing me to present by adding this language to your general plan. I hope you will help to cultivate a local workforce that's skilled and trained, and I hope that American Canyon and Napa County residents will benefit from local construction projects as developers have been doing and are doing now. And I believe it was Vice Mayor Joseph who, when I was presenting last time in front of Stravinsky developers, you said to the developer that the city was handing the developer wealth. And I couldn't have said that better. And the community at large should benefit from projects. Not saying that developers shouldn't make a profit, but the community at large should benefit. And I would like to invite E.J. Sire, our political, and he's our political representative for the sheet metal workers. I'd like him to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thanks, Alicia, and good evening, everybody. So I want to summarize a lot of what Alicia was saying with some of the key points. And I want to make sure that it's very clear this isn't a union versus non-union thing. Instilling general plan language like this with the, let me go back, the first bullet point, following Articles 9 and 10 of the adopted citywide PLA for the hiring of apprentices and veterans. I spent 8 years in the Air Force. I was medically retired with 22 disabilities. Having the veteran-based hiring practices and policies in place is literally why I have the career that I do, and I can support myself and my 4 kids, all because of a policy that a similar body took in and put into their general plan. So when I speak on this stuff, it's also very personal. This is something that when outside developers come in and you see those Washington license plates and Florida license plates and whatever, at least driving by with this language in place, you would know that those folks at least are getting health care. They're at least getting the training that's going to put them in a family-sustaining career. Obviously, we would love everybody to be from here, absolutely. But there's times when that can't happen, and there's times when developers do come from out of state. When they do come from out of state, make them have the same coverage, the same benefits for their workers instead of their workers being exploited. Oftentimes, when it comes to the apprenticeship side of things, a public works project is the only place where you're guaranteed to see apprentices that are learning while they're working. And that's because it's actually required for the Department of Industrial Relations for an apprentice to be classified and paid as an apprentice if they're not paid full journey level workers. It's only on public works projects. What we're looking for in this is those private projects that are coming in. And noted in the example language, we classified it at 50,000 square feet and larger for those projects. There's going to be projects that come in, maybe it's a 5,000 square foot project. Is it going to make sense to try and push all this policy and expenses and added costs on the developers and have all that opposition for no reason? It's not always the case. We would love it to be on every single project. But on these larger projects, you can't have a developer that comes in and says, I don't want to give them health care because it costs me too much money. I'm sorry that you want to rely on county-funded healthcare systems to pay for your workers' health care and their families and friends. It's something that developers always say it won't pencil out. If I do this, it won't pencil out. I just read an article 3 days ago about a developer who just sold their home in a neighboring county for $7.8 million. Okay, obviously it's penciling out somewhere, and you have the opportunity to still take care of workers and the middle-class families that live in this community here and make sure those folks have their health care coverage and they're actually getting good training, not YouTube.com training. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, EJ.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
May I ask the previous speaker to state his name and affiliation? He failed to do so.
EJ Sire, I'm the political representative for Sheet Metal Workers Local 104.
Thank you.
Thank you, EJ.
And thank you, City Council. I'll go ahead and make some brief follow-up statements on this. Glenn Lovell, Executive Director of Napa Solano Central Labor Council, AFL-CIO, proudly representing about 45 local unions across Napa and Solano counties. I think that these statements really well articulated, of course, by the representatives here from the Sheet Metal Workers Union. I wanted to take a step back and really thank the council and, of course, staff and the city as a whole for the good work that's been done thus far to try to drive sustainable, inclusive growth, needed now more than ever. Whether it is, your previous authorization, your previous advancement project labor agreements, and the strong support for local workforces that brings, or what might be described as no less than your heroic efforts to create the housing that is desperately needed, fulfilling RENA numbers, and doing everything you can to stay ahead of the game to address, the housing crisis everywhere that you can, and of course your increased investment in infrastructure. And so we're very thankful for that work done thus far to uplift workers and communities. Made all possible, of course, through combination of the council, staff, and supportive community members. And so we very much look forward to this opportunity to start this conversation for how else we can uplift workers and communities in the future of growth, setting the strongest possible protections for workers in this age of practically unprecedented inequality, and of course uplifting local workforces, especially with the expanded utilization of world-class apprenticeship programs, and really doing all we can as good community partners to fulfill that part of the equation of good growth, that workers are being uplifted, they're getting the wages, the health care they can, no race to the bottom, and investing back in the community, as so well articulated before, striking really our best balance of providing the workforce, the infrastructure to bring the investment in, but as so well stated before, having the developers and those investments really go back in to the broader community. And so we're very excited for the next steps to work on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. And just to clarify, I know, Alicia, you mentioned the hotel on Broadway. Just for those viewers who are watching and don't know which hotel you're referring to, it's the Homestead Suites. And I believe I had a conversation with you, Mr. Holly, not too long ago about some of the processes of why it's being held up. And a lot of it had to do with them being from out of state, and a lot of it being that they didn't know the requirements necessary to fulfill their obligations as contractors here in California. So we had our workshop in February, and we discussed this thoroughly with the council, and that's why the council agreed to have you guys come up and just educate the community, educate us a little bit more on the importance on the proper language. And then for closing, EJ, thank you for your service, and I'm not sure, Mr. Holly, if you needed to add anything to that.
No, this was a council requested item. I think we've received the information, and certainly if council had other comments or whatever, it's an agendized item, but at this point, the council direction was to receive a presentation, and I think we've done that.
Thank you, Mr. Holly. Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yes, well, first of all, I want to thank Len and everyone from the Sheet Metals Union coming here presenting. I do want to add to the argument about, from the workers' perspective, out-of-area workforce is a problem, but the state has also adopted a vehicle miles traveled standard, which in my head kind of reinforces the idea of hiring local, because obviously if you live 3 miles from your workforce or workplace, you're going to travel less miles than if you lived in Vacaville or Stockton. So it seems like there's a partnership going on here in terms of state policy as well as what our unions are advocating. So I think there's some merit to exploring the language. We may need to tweak some of the numbers here and there, but certainly it's worthwhile to encourage the use of apprentices and veterans. It's certainly worthwhile to provide good wages and health care, and it's certainly worthwhile to have local workforce, be they union or not, because of that vehicle miles traveled. The other point is, and it's me getting on a soapbox now, it really is important for this community and the council to understand that when we make decisions, we really are generating wealth for usually property owners. And we need to appreciate the fact that that entitles us to exact something above and beyond maybe the legal minimums. And how that is done, I'll defer to staff and attorneys, but philosophically, we have invested 30 plus years creating a community that we're all proud of. I got here a few months after we incorporated, and American Canyon's reputation was not what it is today. And I think the hard work of the Fran Limoses, the Beth Marcuses, everyone, Brenda, the council, new and old, we have created value. And I think we need to understand that we're entitled to a return on our investment. And when somebody wants to bring their land into this community, or if someone wants to upgrade their land designation, I think we're entitled to say, you got to give something to the community. And however we do that, I don't know, but that ought to be a philosophy that we begin to embrace. It doesn't mean we start telling people, we want whatever. It just means we've invested a lot. We're entitled to a return. Thank you for your presentation, and thank everybody for letting me get on my new soapbox. Thank you.
City Council Member LaMartina.
Thank you for being here, and just exactly what Vice Mayor Joseph has said. It's a big value for our community, and I do agree that we do have a group of young folks that don't fit into the college, don't fit into the military. They're floundering. What do we do with them? We put them to work, right? And I appreciate you being out there, meet me in the streets. I got some information, and I was able to pass that on to someone that went into electrical field. So thank you for being here, and I think it's very important, the work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
And you can thank Councilman David Orrell he's the one who invited us originally, and we've been guests there a couple of years in a row at Meet Me in the Street, and we just love it.
Great, thank you.
I want a small commission on that guy's job, whoever that was. Career earnings, please. Thank you.
Again, thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Moving on to item number 8. Moving on to item number 8, also a presentation by the American Canyon Community Cats, Gina and company.
Fantastic job. We're going to buy you a jacket and put you to work.
Woo. All right.
So let's go ahead and hit that icon here.
That one?
Yep. And then you can use the arrows here
The
to
arrow?
move back and forth.
Look at that. Whew. Don't go far. All right, good evening. My name is Gina Griggs. I'm the Director of Development for American Canyon Community Cats, and we'd just like to thank City Council, Mayor, staff, and the community for allowing us to present this evening. Our board president is Rose Maldonado. Community Outreach Directors Michelle Lady and Rosie Negretti, and joining us this evening are Board Secretary and Treasurer Andre Gardner. At American Canyon Community Cats, our mission is to help all American Canyon cats live happy and healthy lives through rescue, shelter, rehabilitation, trap, neuter, vaccinate, return, which is TNVR, adoption, and community-wide education. Our journey. We pride ourselves on being a community-based grassroots effort that began with a group of like-minded, caring individuals wanting to help community cats live better lives. We attended many council meetings from 2021 to 2023, and in 2023 began meeting with then Assistant City Manager Maria Ojeda. In November of 2023, we officially incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit. Since that date, we have helped over 376 cats, preventing the births of approximately 3,320 unwanted kittens. In February of 2024, we held our first annual community-wide education event, Feline the Love, and this year we are having our community-wide education event on May 10th, aptly titled Spring into Kitten Season. We held our first annual fundraiser, the Meowscarade Ball, in October of 2024, and stay tuned for more information on this year's fundraiser. And we were proudly awarded the Nonprofit of the Year award by the American Canyon Chamber of Commerce. American Canyon Community Cats' current programs are our Community Cat Program, TNVR, Community Outreach and Education, Spay and Neuter, Sick and Injured Cats, Colony Management, and Foster and Adoption. Like that. It's cool, right? Okay, trap, neuter, vaccinate, return. At American Canyon Community Cats, we firmly believe that the foundation of our organization is community-wide education and our robust TNVR program. Community cats, or unowned cats, are outdoor cats that live in groups called colonies. They are often feral, meaning they cannot be socialized and do not wish to live with humans. So they can't be pets, but they can be cared for by humans through a process called trap, neuter, vaccinate, return. It's an effective way to manage community cat populations. It involves trapping the cat, spaying or neutering, vaccinating them, and returning them to their managed colony. We served a total of 256 cats in 2024 alone, and we are projected to serve a total of 360 cats in calendar year 2025. We partner with both Jameson Humane and the Napa Spay Neuter Clinic to bring services to these otherwise overlooked and uncared for innocent felines. The how. We have pre-scheduled monthly clinics. 15 to 20 community or unowned cats are humanely trapped 2 to 3 days prior to clinic day. They are cared for with food, water, miniature litter boxes, pad changes by our daily by our volunteers. The day of clinic, cats are transported to the clinic location by volunteers. 1 to 2 volunteers remain at the clinic to monitor cats pre and post surgery. After the clinic, cats are transported back to American Canyon, where they are recovered for 1 to 3 days based on specific criteria. Then they're released back to their colony. If they are friendly, we will rehome them as pets or relocate them to barn or garden homes if they want to be indoor-outdoor. We have ongoing TNVR in partnership with Napa Humane Spay Neuter Clinic. Each week they alert us to available appointments, and sometimes they are last minute. So large colonies or residents that are ready to trap are first on our list. We formulate a trapping plan with the individual or business. We provide pre-surgical care, transport, post-surgical care, and then we release. These 2 cats trapped here, if left unfixed, in 7 years would make 420,000 cats. Community outreach and education. This program supports ongoing community education to members to assist us in our mission and goals. The process of TNVR, colony management, and the importance of spaying and neutering community pets is the focus of our free ongoing community education program. TNVR and education is where we focus the bulk of our efforts, time, and resources to make the greatest impact for our community, its residents, business owners, and feline friends. How do we get the word out? Through Facebook and Messenger, through our webpage with additional contact information, through our free community events, through our Meet Me in the Street Summer Series, and our annual fundraiser. This year, our free community education and adoption event will be held on May 10th at the Old Napa Junction Community Center. At this event, we will have trap education with live demos, not with live cats, live demos. Cat colony management, volunteer recruitment, wine tasting, snacks and goodies, adoptable kitties, door prizes, music, cat food drive, membership and sponsorship solicitation. Sick and injured cats. We partner with the Napa County Animal Shelter for sick and injured cats. Fixed or not, if you find a sick or injured cat, you can contact us and we will come formulate a plan to trap the cat. We'll then transport the cat to the animal shelter. They will provide treatment and vetting, hold the animal as long as they need to be held to be recovered, and then they call us when the animal is ready to be returned. Colony management and support. We support our kind colony caretakers who care for these innocent cats that live just outside but deserve to be fed and deserve shelter. Foster and adoption. Our foster and adoption program is a true networking partnership. This program supports the rescue of kittens born to unowned community cats. When a call comes in for assistance with kitten rescue, we formulate a rescue plan partnering with the resident or business owner. A call is made to the Napa County Animal Shelter to ensure that they can intake kittens. Sometimes they're on quarantine or they're at capacity. A request for kitten foster is put out to our community. Ideally, the finder would be able to foster, and it's not a forever thing, I promise, if this is something you're interested in. Once kittens are secured, they are transported to Napa County Animal Shelter to be checked in. The foster then takes them home, and we assist with all necessary food, litter, playpens, etc., as well as support in the how-to for our fosters. Kittens are fostered in a home with animals, children, etc., to gain social skills. Napa County Animal Shelter provides medical treatment, including the spay, neuter, vaccination, deworming, and flea treatment. When kittens are ready to be adopted, fully socialized, and fixed, they return to the shelter, where people go who want to adopt kittens. And then Napa County Animal Shelter receives the fees for the adoption to cover the medical costs. Becoming a kitten foster, a rewarding and fun-filled way to give back to your community. Fostering brings joy, love, and laughter to your home. Moving forward, our core goals are TNR, rescue, education, continued partnerships, community engagement, volunteer recruitment, and facility maintenance and growth. Funding and sustainability. Partnerships, business sponsors, individual memberships, grant funding, in-kind donations, and our annual fundraiser, with a big thank you to Napa Valley Community Foundation, Tractor Supply American Canyon, and the City of American Canyon. That's fun too, right? Okay, reflecting on a year of incredible dedication and hard work. So, we have been able to make a significant impact on the lives of 376 cats through our dedicated efforts in the calendar year 2024 with the support of Jameson Humane, Napa Humane, the City of American Canyon, and Napa Valley Community Foundation. This impactful support has only been possible thanks to these partners. And I have a little video for you to watch. 2025 upcoming events. April 5th, we have an annual wellness clinic presented by Jameson Humane in Napa. May 3rd, an annual wellness clinic presented by Jameson Humane in American Canyon. May 10th, our spring into kitten season free community-wide event. June 11th, Meet Me in the Street. July 9th and August 13th, Meet Me in the Street. And fall 2025, our annual fundraiser, TBD. A big thank you to our supporters, our partners, our cheerleaders, our current and future volunteers, our sponsors and members, and for having us this evening. We look forward to continuing our mission to provide all cats with happy and healthy lives, saving one life at a time. We are American Canyon Community Cats, and thank you for having us.
Thank you, Gina and Andre, for all you do in educating our community. It's been a fun-filled time learning more and more about the cats in our community, so thank you for sharing. With that, we'll move on to our open comments for items that are not on tonight's schedule. You have 3 minutes to share your comments, and I'll ask the Madam Clerk to kind of give us whoever has signed up first.
I have I have one speaker card this evening, Mr. William Baker.
Good evening, Mr. Baker.
Good evening, Mayor Washington, council members, and Police Chief Greenberg. My name is William Baker. I'm a resident of the Montevino area. Today, I am delivering a petition signed by more than 100 residents of Montevino, asking that you proactively consider special parking policies for our neighborhood and the American Canyon Veterans Memorial Park. The signers of this petition are requesting that all parking on Broadway from Solano County Line to American Canyon Road be posted as no overnight parking. The petition also requests an overnight street parking policy be implemented in Montevino, requiring a city-issued residential stickered or placard for overnight street parking. This petition anticipates traffic and parking issues on Broadway in Montevino soon. These issues will soon arise as a certain high-density housing project in Vallejo comes online. The project has no parking outside of those places for staff and management of the building. The absence of adequate parking at this high-density residential project is a long-term design flaw caused by and the responsibility of the City of Vallejo, not American Canyon. The City of Vallejo acknowledges that there is no budget or policy to deal with the vehicles tenants own other than the 5 parking places on site. This mistake in building design and approval is not something the parkgoers and residents of Montevino should be subjected to. The residents of Montevino who signed this petition are concerned that tenant vehicles will soon displace parking for parkgoers and Montevino residents. As Mayor Washington recently said in a weekly city manager email report, quote, proactive policing to deter crime and address issues before they escalate, rather than simply responding to incidents that have already occurred. This strategic approach focuses on prevention and strives to build relationships and trust within the community, end quote. Through this petition, residents of Montevino are requesting that these words be implemented on Broadway and Montevino. It is now time for the mayor, city council, and police chief to act proactively before tenants move into this project, along with their vehicles, to protect the park and neighborhoods it governs. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
I have here to share one copy of the petition. This is 10 pages. This is 100 signatures. These are the flyers that I put on 250 houses in Montevino, and this gives some outline of the information that drove this petition. I also share, I have 3 of these because printing is so expensive. This section right here.
Sir, you're out of time.
Thank you.
And Mr. Baker, just so you know, we'll take the petition, we'll give it to the city manager, we'll look at it, and then we'll pass them out for you. Thank you. Next speaker.
Russell Charpentier, sorry, I'm butchering that.
They did very well, actually. Thank you. Good evening, good evening, council members and Mayor Washington. Congratulations. I'm Russ Charpentier, Montevino, American Canyon resident, going on 26 years now. 3.5 years ago, Vallejo's Broadway Home Key project was introduced at their June 7th council meeting in 2022. It was described only as an APN on Broadway, no doubt to hide its true nature from the public. At that same time, a 5-page protest letter by the American Canyon City Attorney was presented to the Vallejo Mayor and Council. It cited numerous inaccuracies in the project's description and its utter failure to comply with CEQA, NEPA, or the Brown Act, among other issues. Needless to say, this council never did sue, and Vallejo plowed ahead with this $30 million boondoggle, which is projected to open in the next few months. Well known to some in this council, a group of American Canyon citizens took out a lawsuit against this project in an effort to slow it down or, in the very least, change its demographics to seniors. After 2 years of fighting, we failed to get any concessions from the city of Vallejo. The target population of this facility will be 47 to 94 chronically homeless adults with drug and/or alcohol addictions and mental issues. The facility has no requirements for sobriety, no operating funds for psychiatric counseling, no budget for security, and only 2 resident spots for its entire population. The other 3 are for 2 associate caseworkers and a maintenance person. This sits on our border next to a children's park, across the street from a school bus stop, posing obvious problems. What we are asking for from this council to protect its citizens on its southern border and preserve our park is a ban on overnight parking along the park and the consideration of resident parking permits in the Montevino area. If you live a mile or 2 from this border, it may not matter much to you. But if you live in this 140-home residential community or use the park with your children or your family, this means a great deal to you. This sits on the border of our largest public park and is used by the entire surrounding community. Its very vulnerable resident population will require extensive medical and mental intervention, and Vallejo is not prepared to provide that. So, echoing Mr. Williams' comments here, we're asking for something preemptively rather than wait till stuff really starts to.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Clarence Mamarel.
Good evening, Mayor Washington and members of council. My name is Clarence Mamarel. I'm an American Canyon resident since 2001, and I've been involved in quite a few community activities. First of all, it's good to see you all. My work as an immigration attorney for Catholic Charities has been keeping me really busy. So it really is wonderful to see everybody here. So my comments are regarding some safety concerns at Levine, where my family and I live, as well as other neighbors, which you'll hear from a little later. We know that there is a resident in Levine that drives recklessly, which obviously could be a danger to those of us who walk around and walk our dogs and just walk around the neighborhood. We do have some neighbors that are directly affected, and we're going to hear some public comment from them as well. We're also aware that there are legal protocols that are involved, and that there are sensitive issues regarding involved with this resident. Actually had the opportunity to talk with Chief Greenberg before the council meeting, and we know that their officers are handling this situation very professionally and very sensitively. So this public comment also includes everybody take heart that ACPD is aware of the situation, and good measured efforts are underway. But we still think, obviously, it's important for council and the public who live and visit Laveen to be cautious. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Clarence.
Sebastian Pridmore.
Hi, my name is Sebastian Pridmore. This is my wife. She might help me a bit. English is not my first language, so just in case. I live in Laveen with my wife, and we have, like Clarence was saying, a bit of an issue with somebody who's like kind of a menace driving, basically. Last time it happened several times. We had several problems. My wife had to call 2-3 times the police already. Last time that it got really serious is I was just walking my dog, just got out of home, crossed the road, and basically the car was coming. And I'm just gonna put one thing before that. I was walking my dog, same thing in the morning, just walking. The car was parked on the side, and it's a lady. She looks Indian, and she started screaming at me, "Go back in your home, whatever, and you don't live here." And I was like, "Okay, I live just down the street. I'm new around here, so maybe people didn't see me." I was like, "Yeah, I'm new here." Explained it a bit. She stormed off like crazy with her car, and basically that was the end of this one. And the same woman, basically, I was crossing the road like I was saying just before, and I was halfway through the street when basically I saw the car coming. I heard honking like non-stop honking. I was already gone through the side of the road where she would have had to be. She started shifting road to end up parking on the other side where I was. So if I hadn't run or speed up, I would have probably got run over. I'm young, I can run anything, but somebody younger, somebody older, not sure she made it, honestly. It was really scary. I have the call, I called directly 911 when that happened. If you listen to my voice when it's bringing back all of that, but if you listen to my voice, you will hear and I'm explaining everything that's happening. It was completely out of this world. She honked, she tried to hit me, but kept on going. Parked on the bridge, backed up to me while I was on the phone with the police, and I was trying to give her plate. She backed up, perfect. I had the time to give her the plate. She got out of the car, yelled a bunch of things to me. So after, thankfully, she left. I started walking around, and that's where the police came straight away. They were very responsive. It lasted probably 2 minutes, and they were there. And I called the officer. We talked, and lucky enough, she was just living across the corner. I didn't know it yet, but my wife told me she lives in the same neighborhood of us. So basically, we all the time going to get encounter with her. That's a bit the problem. Walking the dog in the street now, constantly, I'm like looking behind me every time there's a car. I need to look if it's a black car just to make sure it's not her coming again. So this is a bit the vibe that's happening in Laveen. So we just wanted to just point that out. Maybe it's just good if police comes around more. We saw cars of police, so it's already good. We're not. It's unsafe. And if it was children or if they were attacking like smaller kids or an older person, I'm not sure they would have crossed the road. Honestly, it was very scary. And if you listen to the call I've done, you will hear it in my voice. I was having trouble to breathe, so you will hear it. That's will be it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sebastian, and I apologize that you had to go through that. Does your wife she has 3 minutes too, if she'd like to make a statement? Yes.
Hi, my name is Sienna Satsas. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members, for hearing me today. I have a statement that I wrote. Okay. And I want to thank Clarence as well for helping us, giving us courage for this. Sebastian is originally from Switzerland. They don't really have issues like that there. So this was a big shock for him. In America, I know that we are a little more familiar with these kind of things. On May 14th, 2025, my husband, Sebastian Pridmore, was met with an erratic driver who was also violent with her car. She was driving at an exceeding speed. He told the story of what happened. This is not the first time that this has happened. She has come at me as well. I have called the police 2 times about this already. I understand that I know where there's restrictions and responding. but it is, of course, important to call the police. I reached out to others in the community, and several other people have had this issue. There was also a report that in Vallejo, the same car and same driver was attempting to hit people in the CVS parking lot. One person had a personal injury, and he had a head injury. The same day. She was booked. The police arrested her, and she was booked, but she was released 4 days later on the 18th. We did speak to a victim's advocate at the district attorney's office who gave us some things that we can do. One, attempt to file a restraining order, which is not something that we feel is wise because we don't want this person to know our personal information. Otherwise, we wait until she actually hurts somebody, and then she can go to jail or get whatever help that she does need, hopefully the right kind of help. A lot of this does land on her family. She does live with her family. We know where she lives. We know her car. We're aware. We're just very vigilant at this point. We have seen her driving since she's been out of jail, which of course is scary. And yeah, I did talk to a couple of police officers who did mention that they would be more present and to call if we do see her and we do see her driving erratically again. I'm hoping to help cultivate a safe community in American Canyon. I know there are issues with lack of services in regards to mental health in society in general. I don't know what she is battling or what's really going on, but I do know that this is dangerous to children, to pets, family members, the elderly, everybody. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your experience. And I'm sure that the police department, I know Chief Greenberg and his team, they're on it. And I like the testimony that you provided, saying that they were there pretty quick. But I think you're all doing the right things the right way. So I thank you for being good stewards and citizens. Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you.
And thank you, Chief Greenberg.
Any other open comments?
I have no other comment cards, and I have no hands raised online.
Sure, Janelle, you can make a comment.
I just wanted to, hello, I'm Janelle Selleck, live in American Canyon. And so the foundation did a Newell hike this past Saturday, and I just wanted to share how beautiful Newell is right now. Also shout out to the city staff because the trail looks really good. It's in great shape. The weeds are low, the trail is wide, the new parking lot is beautiful. There was tons of people out there, and there's probably 10, 15, 20 different types of wildflowers, especially up on the North Loop. If you're a hiker and you want to get out, it's a great time to do it. So it's a beautiful place. I spend a lot of time at wetlands, and I don't get up to Newell as often, so it really is beautiful. And the new parking lot and the trail improvements are very much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. And Madam Clerk, anybody online? No? Okay, I'll close public comment and move to agenda changes. If there are any agenda changes, I'll take a motion if there's not.
So moved.
All right. Second.
I have a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor Washington?
Yes. Public hearing is next. There's no actual items on public hearing, so we'll move on to business items. Business item number 14, the state of support for marginalized communities. Mr. Holly?
Thank you, Mayor. The following is a council requested item. At your last meeting, the council received a presentation from Michelle Groupie with the Community Leaders Coalition requesting a statement such as this, and then the council directed that we brought forward. So the statement you have there is on page 24. The only thing I would note is you've all been presented, I think, with a signing version of it that all of you would sign, rather than just the mayor. And If the council wanted to have a conversation about this or read the statement, you certainly could.
I could read the statement. We all did sign it in closed session. So is there anybody here to receive it that you know?
I believe so. I'm not sure. I thought someone was going to be here, but I'm not totally sure. We can get to Michelle. She indicated someone to be here, but
Okay, I'll still read it, just so everybody else could know what we've all signed and what we're supporting, a statement of supporting and protecting historical marginalized communities, whereas the City Council of American Canyon recognizes the contribution of historically marginalized communities, including immigrants, the LGBTQIA+ individuals, and minority groups who are vital to our local economic, cultural, and society, yet remain at risk of discrimination, oppression, and violence. And whereas these individuals are our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, essential to the thriving and inclusive community we continue to build. And whereas American Canyon's vibrant diversity is reflected in its population, comprised by 33.7% Asian residents, 30.6% Hispanic residents, with the remaining 35.7% representing Caucasians, African Americans, and other groups. And whereas the City Council is committed to fostering an inclusive community by ensuring access to resources, promoting safety, and combating racism, discrimination, and hateful acts. And whereas trust between local agencies, including law enforcement and schools, and our immigrant community is essential for effective governance and public safety. And whereas upholding the civil rights and well-being of all people, regardless of ethnicity, gender, immigration status, race, religion, sexual orientation, or I can't even say it, SOCIO.
Socioeconomic.
Thank you, status, as a fundamental value of the City Council, reflected in accessible services, language support, and community engagement. Whereas we call upon all American Canyon residents to join with the city leadership to embrace this charge and move forward with resilience and unity, grounded in principle that we are stronger together, our diversity is an asset, everyone belongs, kindness defines us. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that American Canyon is committed to being the model of inclusion and equity, supporting the long-term prosperity of all residents, including immigrants, refugees, and newcomers, and demonstrating the values of the unity and acceptance. And we all signed the statement of support, and we will get this to the right person. Okay. New business item number 14, capital improvement project updates on park projects.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Eric Alman-Smithies, Public Works Director. I gotta get the, I did a little PowerPoint here just to get some of these numbers up that I have in the staff report. I'm gonna ask for help here. But while Mr. Parnell works on that, I can at least provide an update. The reason why we're coming to you tonight, just on a capital improvement park project update, is that we have capital projects that have been coming to council after we've bid them that are much higher than they were anticipated in cost. So trying to be more forthright and upfront and transparent before we go out to bid, we want to bring to you what some of the numbers are looking like for these park projects. As we recently had the Wetlands Edge that was almost double, more than double than the original anticipated allocated capital improvement project budget. But we also had Newell Open Space that was considerably higher than we thought. We also had Rancho Del Mar, which is more of a transportation project, but because of cost increases in pipes, we also identified that in this staff report. We will be coming back in the near future to increase the contingency because we're finding stuff on that project due to the age of the subdivision. Things aren't where they're supposed to be. We'll be coming back to council just to increase that contingency so we make sure we have enough funding to complete the project. But tonight, we're just here to focus on the park projects that we have. Here's a highlight, just a summary. I don't think everyone can read that, but it's also in the staff report. I don't want to read through everything, but I wanted to give a status update. You know, new open space for one is completed. We just need to come to council to notice completion. Wetlands Edge was just awarded last 2 weeks ago or a month ago, and is started. The notice to proceed went out to this morning or this afternoon. It went to the contractor, Marina Landscapers, so they can get up and running. They're already providing submittals to the city on products, so we can get them on board. One of the updates we found from that is that bathrooms. There's no expediting manufacture of bathrooms. It's 5-month wait right now before we can get delivery of the bathroom. That was their first moment of action or submittal action. So we're looking at October to finally get the restroom, but they can start the other work sooner. So that's one item that's an update. The Melvin Park improvements, we haven't started design yet on that. We need to go out to RFP, so we don't have an updated cost. We're with everything else showing increases in cost, we're forecasting that's probably going to need more because it's a brand new park. There's nothing there now. It's a vacant parcel on Melvin Road. It's next to the little playground, kiddie playground, and the tennis courts. Melvin Tennis Courts, that one's forecasting higher based on some of the preliminary costs we're getting from like Vintage Paving contractors and another court contractor, that the cost to do the proper reconstruction of those courts is going to be a lot higher than what we anticipated. We're designing that project in-house, so that'll be a minimal cost to the community, but it's still going to be higher than forecasted. Aquatic facility improvements, our Director of Parks and Recreation, Alexandra Ikeda, got some preliminary numbers for construction of $2.9 million. So we worked backwards on what an actual architect design would be for the swimming aquatic center upgrades, and we got up to about a $450,000 cost versus the $50,000 that's allocated currently. In addition, the Northampton Shade Canopy, we hit a snag with this project. We started design a year ago. There's a reason why there's not a fixed structure underneath the distribution power lines. We're not allowed to build a fixed structure that's covered, like the current canopies that are at Silver Oak, for example. And even park bathrooms aren't allowed under those. So we've pivoted. We got a final answer from our PG&E advisor only 2 weeks or about a month ago, and we're going to a shade sale. So the traditional shade canopy that we were looking at, similar to all the other parks around the city, is going to cost less now than what was forecasted at $300,000. And we've worked with Director Ikeda on getting a shade sail put in there. And then the restroom, we're having to redesign a little bit to remove it. Our consultants taking that on at their own cost, but the cost of the bathroom itself is still a lot higher, similar to what we're seeing at Wetlands Edge. It's just a higher cost because we have to bring utilities in. When we estimated these projects last year, it was just plopping a prefab bathroom down, but there wasn't any design or forethought or estimation on bringing the utilities from the street to those sites. So that's why you're seeing a significant jump in numbers, labor and materials. Northampton Park restroom, similar, I mean, as far as the Silver Oak restroom. Community Park 1 is under construction right now as far as park maintenance is taking what they can. If you haven't been out there, the fields are looking great, but we still have issues with coverage with the existing irrigation system. There is a proposed future project to redesign all the irrigation and trail improvements around that park, so we haven't tried to revamp the entire irrigation system yet. That's probably what's going to have to happen, and it will be a much higher cost than what we see here now at the current $300,000. The Silver Oak restrooms, I already spoke about, but we're almost out to bid on that one. We're finalizing the plans. There's no further comments from the city, so we need to package that one up. Notating on both the 2 bathroom projects, Northampton and Silver Oak, we would like to come back to council and propose purchasing the bathrooms up front. So while we're going out to bid and advertising, those bathrooms can be manufactured and will be on the list. So by the time we get to an award process, the contractor can get to work on the utilities, the pad, and then we can bring in the delivery of the bathroom after the fact. And what's great about the bathroom manufacturer, CXT, they're on our Sourcewell type of contract, so we can come to council, sole source, it's a good price, and they can also do the installation once all the utilities are brought to the site. So it's a one contractor do the utilities, and then the CXT contractor can drop the bathroom in place and hook it up, and we're ready to roll. The Linwood Park improvements, we haven't gone out to design yet. We're focusing on the other park projects that are waiting to happen. The Veterans Park Playground, we were stunned by updated costs by our Sourcewell contract. Do we need to go to the next page? Sorry. The Veterans Park Playground renewal, we originally had a quote of $515 last year, and they were missing not only a cost in there that we needed to update a proposal because it was an old stale cost, and unfortunately the cost ballooned another $300,000. Director Ikeda is working on a revised project that may even be better for the city as far as a smaller cost. There'll still be some impacts as far as the current budget, but she had a meeting on Friday with Miracle Place Systems. I don't know the outcome of that yet, but I will connect with her and we'll get that updated into the budget. So the last one's the Main Street Park improvements. We're waiting on getting an electrician out there to assess the power facility so we can have a good sound system and not blowing the breaker this Juneteenth. That's the goal. And then the additional work included with that park improvement was adding a ramp, like a switchback ramp and stairwell from midway down Main Street. So where the food trucks are usually held, or if you're walking across from Holiday Inn, you could walk down to the basin area without having to go to either end of the park to gain access. So right now, that's an increase of from $3.2 million of budget allocated to $5.1 million if all these project forecasts come in to fruition. I met with, that's a $1,783,595 increase over what was already budgeted by council. This is due to refined engineering costs, revised proposals, and labor increases that were not available when the projects were originally brought to council in June of 2024. I've already kind of discussed the projects below. I've worked with finance, and they provided me that the fiscal impact to these. We can cover that with the current impact fees and parks renovation replacement project funds, and the fund balance will also cover the projects forecasted to be added onto this list in the next fiscal year. So we're covered for at least this fiscal year and the next fiscal year if the project numbers hold. So with that, I'm willing to take any questions on this. I know it's some sticker shock. I'm just glad some of our funds, like the LED Zone 2, can cover the increase in Silver Oak and the restroom costs, but that's where we're at right now.
Thank you for the presentation, Erica. Councilmember Orr.
Ouch.
Yes.
So, can we go back a couple slides? Let's start with the first slide there. Seems like we missed a lot here, and one thing I didn't hear was inflation, and I'm sure that was part of it.
Yes.
Is material, laborers, or is every contractor out there just like, nope, this is what it's going to cost now? I mean, is it a price of egg situation? Like, was there avian flu flying through the Public Works Department or something like that?
I think part of it is we haven't had any projects go out in recent years. We even checked, RSA Plus, who was our designer on some of these projects. They provided their estimation and they were still under what we were getting, for example, on Wetlands Edge. They had a $500,000 number, which we were more comfortable with, and then the bids came in at $600,000 and $1 million each for the two higher bidders. I think it's we haven't been doing facility construction in a long time. We've been doing mostly transportation projects, which I'm more comfortable with because we do a lot of paving, concrete work. Those prices seem to be stable, but even the underground work, the pipe has increased. They'll probably go up more with tariffs. The other unknown is what's going to happen. Some of these projects we asked Miracle Place Systems on the playgrounds, for example, and they're like, they're made in the USA. We're not worried about tariffs with those kind of systems, which is great, but labor continues to go up. So.
And then on the bathrooms, you were talking about by the bathroom, we'll deal with, and we were missing some costs. So there's the price of the actual toilet and surroundings and all of that, or the building.
Correct. And that's what's shown in like the 165. That was just a bathroom structure. That was not including, 100 or, 80 linear feet of water line brought in. That was just trying to get a project added and then refining the civil engineering as we went forward.
But as a council, we were presented with 165 in 2024.
That was a miss on our part.
Yeah, and so can we make sure that is included too? Because I'll say the yes to a $165,000 bathroom all day long, but if we're also adding 2 miles of pipe at $500,000, that just kind of, like, listen, I want bathrooms over a porta potty any day, but at the same time, we have a fiscal responsibility here to kind of see this. And like, we're literally getting hit with like a $2 million overage that we hadn't really thought about before. And I got all excited about cool bathrooms everywhere.
Yeah, that's a great point, Councilmember Oro. But part of us bringing this item to you as not an action item tonight was to begin to share some of that. So to Erica's point, our bread and butter in the past has been more heavy civil, roadways, ADA ramps, pipelines, and not as much around park replacement projects. And the other thing about, and that what I mean is our ability to budget or cost estimate or analyze and try to understand what those costs are going to be still needs some refinement. We still need to get more practice and more expertise at that. But also, these projects are small. And so what you're not seeing a lot of economies at scale. We have producers, Miracle Play is one contractor, and they kind of have a market niche on playgrounds, right? But you don't see these are small projects in the contractor world, and so you're not seeing a ton of competition around these particular projects because everyone's working on bigger projects. These are small run-of-the-mill projects, and we don't. When you run into a project that doesn't have a lot of cost efficiency, they can add $20,000, $50,000, $40,000 just on overhead, and it makes a big change to the budget, but there's not a lot of competitions. On the wetlands project, which was estimated at around 600, I think, we only had 3 bidders. And anytime you only have 3 bidders, and none of them were some of the major contractors, these are all small contractors, it starts to make you a little nervous because they're going to be able to add costs in. They're going to have costs that some of the big guys don't. So delivering these projects are just a little bit more challenged than some of our bread and butter, and why we're bringing it to you is to recognize, we need to get a little bit better at our ability to budget these and to really understand what the true costs are, and to go from experience on some of our projects and go, okay, we thought these were going to be 165, but now we know there's a bunch of other stuff that goes into it. It's really not. We need to give you that as much accurate information as we can.
Yeah, I mean, that would be appreciated. I had in my notes, are there efficiencies that we can do to, can we buy 3 bathrooms from one vendor at the same time and get like a 30% discount or something like that? Has that been considered rather than just being all one-off things?
I don't think it will, we can check on that to see, but I don't know if we have a 3rd bathroom in the budget somewhere for, say Newell, but that needs to be discussed further about connecting the utility there. But as far as the 2 bathrooms, we're going to eliminate that guessing game of how much market profit margin the contractor's making, because on the Wetlands Edge, they were all over the place. I think our low bidder was the closest to what they quoted us as far as price. So if the city purchases, we'll know what that exact cost is, and then the contractor we get provided for doing the utility connections, it'll probably be a more even playing field, especially if the size of the project reduces the construction bidding process to less than $200,000, because we can go direct for quotes, informal bidding process with our KUPCA list, which is our uniform cost accounting program that we're allowed to go informally under $220,000, I believe, as of this year. So there may be some cost savings doing it this way with this approach on these. And then the shade canopy, going to a shade sale, there is an ability to get a purchase and install through Miracle Play or a similar system, and then you're cutting out the bidding process because it's already been sole sourced and turnkey, and it should be more competitive, and hopefully that cost comes back down to a more reality of where we estimated the budget to come in as.
Well, I did heavy research on the bathroom thing. So, because San Francisco was building bathrooms for $2 million and they got it down to 250, I think. I do know that my Portland Loo that I've recommended to the city manager is about $100,000, and it's $65,000 cheaper than what it is there. I think you have to look at that again. It's the Portland Loo.
Single stall, not dual stall.
Yeah, buy another one. So, you only need one stall in most of these places, right? So just check it out. I think there's some cost savings here. This is your opportunity to get creative, is, I guess, the real message. And I just offered a creative tip. Thank you very much.
Vice Mayor Joseph.
I agree with Councilmember Oro. It is a little shocking. And I always thought the bathroom estimates were remarkably low. It just seemed like, bathrooms never are that economical. And it's a little concerning. We'll just say it's a little concerning that nobody stopped to think that you have to install plumbing to a toilet, because they're nowhere near as useful without it. But be that as it may, in an attempt to be creative when I may not be, can we, I mean, the manager pointed out they're all relatively small projects. Is there any way we can assemble them all into something that's a little bigger? You know, here's 3 bathroom installations, albeit all over the city. You know, is there a way that we could try to assemble it all and say, here's one big $2 million park improvement project and get something going that way?
There's economy of scale with doing the Silver Oak, combining the Silver Oak and the Northampton Park restrooms because they're both utilities. And for purchasing the bathroom structures in advance, we can just have the utility work provided, done by one contractor. That was the idea with the Northampton shade structure when we were trying to. But there is economies of scale by moving them forward.
Otherwise, if we're looking at these new estimates, the good news is there's money in the funds to cover it, but that raises the question that next year when we have another list of things we want to deal with, they're basically going to be on hold for a couple of years or something. So that's kind of the trade-off when the costs are so much higher. We either do less now or do less later. So I mean, it's a tough issue. It's hard to figure out what makes sense. Other than try to figure out ways to either combine projects or rethink projects, or at some point the council may have to sit down and say which of these are the more critical ones, which do we put on hold? So.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Vice Mayor Joseph. And that, again, was part of the reason to bring in this item to you, is to start to surface what's a very real issue and a very real trend that we're seeing. And you can forecast being into some policy, some prioritization, if it's not this fiscal year, to be the next one. And we wanted to kind of sort of get that idea planted a little bit. I think the other aspect of these projects is hopscotching them around different parts of town. There might be some economies of scale, but it's going to be a little bit limited there. So one thing that we've started to think about, this gets to a bigger conversation around our repair and replacement funds. Way back when we identified these capital reserves and created these 3 ISFs, repair and replacement. One was geared around parks and the other one was geared around streets. And and we're noticing a more rapid drawdown on that parks repair and replacement fund. We're not seeing a rapid drawdown of our streets repair and replacement fund, in part because there are literally 3 other funding sources for street maintenance: gas tax Measure U, soon to be Measure U, and RMRA. And so there isn't for parks, right? And so we're sort of in the back of our minds going, do we have those repair and replacement fund balances right-sized? Might it make some sense, being able to estimate our costs a little bit better? Might it make some sense to shift some of that money away from the streets repair and replacement, knowing that there's already 3 funding sources? Or might there be some other revenue opportunities? So those are the kind of things that are bounced around in our ideas, and what you'll see in the budget process coming up, in a couple of weeks, in May, will be a more refined discussion on the CIP and forecast.
Councilmember Oro.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on the city manager's comments. I would welcome that discussion, just as a policy, as a council. We want good streets. We obviously don't want potholes, but I think this community values parks a lot more, and we actually do have parks that need greater improvement, and maybe it's a policy shift for 5 to 10 years or something where you right-size the parks and then maybe turn back to the streets. So I would welcome that discussion.
Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yes, and to not necessarily belabor the point, but I would agree that we maybe can use some of those street dollars, but it might be handy if we could do a kind of back of an envelope analysis of what you're starting to do, which is those rubberized slurry seals or whatever they're called, that isn't a traditional 1 or 2 inch overlay. But if you can sit down and say, okay, we have so many lane miles divided by, here's the cost of this approach that gets you 10 or 15 years, can we ballpark estimate, here's how much money we need to be able to replace all of those roads on a scheduled basis with X number of dollars. And, if we have anything more than that, that becomes the basis for this is what we can allocate to parks versus just saying, well, I want money for parks today and I'll worry about the street crisis 2 years from now. So I like the idea because I think you're right. It's general fund money. We can apply it anywhere. But I'd like to know if we've got the streets under control, or if we don't, what that gap is. Because maybe that's a problem 5 years from now, and the park issue is a crisis that was 5 years ago. So, we can it'll help us in making the tough decisions we need to make to be able to figure out what it is and how do we juggle that ball down the road when the time comes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open up the public comment. Item number 15, if there's any public comment. Gina?
Fran. Fran Lemus. When you get new developments, don't you create park space and funds? So that should help.
Thanks, Fran. Gina?
Hello, thank you, Gina Griggs. I am a big advocate of our parks and open spaces, as I think everyone is probably aware. But just to say that I love all of the park improvements that we have had recently, and I don't want to stop doing that. Yeah, potholes are bad, but parks are important, very important. And if I remember correctly, when we were looking at the Northampton Park Improvement Project, it originally included a shade canopy. And then we decided to not go with the shade canopy initially, but it doesn't seem like it was $120,000. Doesn't seem like that was the reason, but it was through the Miracle Play Company, is that what it's called? So maybe they just, give it to us now. Maybe they would just give it to us now and for not a whole nother project. And also, as far as the restrooms go, I mean, a restroom at Newell would be great. And I would suggest that perhaps the developers that are in proximity of where those restrooms need to go could maybe contribute to the cost of the lines going out to the street, since that seems so expensive, but everyone will benefit. Developers, if they're close to the area, like Canyon Estates and Watson Ranch by Newell. There's no developers, obviously, by Northampton, but there are multiple businesses, and this restroom would benefit everyone, all the workers and the residents and the business owners in those areas. So just to look at creative solutions like that to get restrooms in our parks for our community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Any other comments? Scott?
Yeah, I'm new to all this, but when we were looking over this presentation the last time, how can you build a bathroom and not present the hookup fees from the beginning? Because they have to be done. You can't just build a bathroom in the middle of nowhere without hooking it up to something. So those fees should have been included originally in that presentation.
Thank you, Scott. Any other comment? Do we have anyone online?
I have no one online.
We'll close public comment on item number 15, return to council for any additional statement, questions, or we'll just file the report and then look for staff to give us an update at a later date.
Yes, as I said before, I'll be coming back sooner than later as far as getting the purchase of those bathrooms underway. And if there's any other feedback you have. But yes, we're working on better estimation moving forward.
Okay.
And we're in that process right now for next year.
Okay.
This is actually kind of helps us complete what's needed for next year along with the other CIPs that are coming towards you.
Thank you, Erica. Councilmember Cruz.
Yes, Erica, thank you for the presentation. And I'm agreeing with everybody. What I do think is, I'm going to summarize it. I think we definitely need to trim the fat, find out and prioritize all the CIP projects that we do have, and find more creative ways on how we can save money. But thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Erica. So right now, Mr. Holly, just a file, and then we'll get back to the updates later. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Erica. We'll move on to the management and staff oral reports. Excuse me?
I think Erica's going to stay right up there because she's got a capital project schedule to share with you about the last quarter and then looking forward the next 90 days.
Yes. What you have at the staff report tonight, we're just giving you a preview of what we did in the last 90 days and what's coming in the next 90 days or the final quarter of this fiscal year. Right now, Green Island Road, Rule 20AB was completed and we're out to bid. Well, I won't skip to the fun part, but Benton Way was 100% completed. We also received an honorable mention from League of California Cities on that project for complete streets. Newell Open Space Parking Lot was also completed. With all the punch list items, that notice completion will be coming to council very soon. The Knightsbridge reconstruction and water main project, the water work is substantially complete already, and they're going to be moving on to the next phases, and then which means the fun part, which is paving, flat work. For the curb ramps. Rancho Del Mar is underway. It's still preliminary pre-construction. We're just complete, I believe, most of the potholing for the utilities and finding out things aren't where they're supposed to be. So again, that'll be brought back to council on May 6th. Melvin Sidewalk and Drainage Project, they had a pre-construction and they're starting work in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of community outreach going on, and I appreciate the communications team helping us get the new plans out so the public is very aware and the community is aware of all the projects going out. Advertised and awarded for constructions with Wetlands Edge in the last month, and especially the last 90 days. We're in design on East American Road Guardrail Project. We're currently at 65%. South Kelly and Highway 29, we're in the pre-design activities. It's a partnership with the county, and primarily so far developer contributions from NLP and the other developments going on in the industrial district has provided the improvement funding for this. But would probably be some more additional Measure T funds potentially needed for South Kelly of the reconstruction involved. But it also includes Tower Road. The county requested the city do the design for that, and you have agreed to in that budget. The next 90 days will still be under construction with Knightsbridge. Rancho Del Mar will be ongoing. Melvin Sidewalk and Drainage will be underway, and the Wetlands Edge and environmental education should be underway as well. Weather permitting, has to be dry out there a little bit. Award of construction contract, City Hall roof repairs is a small contract that should be within the city manager signing authority. If it's not, we'll come back to council for award. Green Island Road reconstruction and widening, we plan to come back to council on May 6th. We had an addendum that went out today. We had 65 questions from our online bidders. We had 53 folks download the documents, 40 are actively following the project, and we had 65 questions by the deadline. The addendum provided more feedback to them, and we extended the deadline for questions to the 22nd. So, or no, the bid opening will now be the 22nd instead of next week due to a lot of the questions were in the bid packet, but we had to clarify things. And let me see, we're also in design on the Green Island Road Class 1 trail. That was broken out for a separate construction contract because we're working with Caltrans on the authorization for the one OBAG grant funding, which is $1 million, which is a substantial amount of funding. We're asked MBTA, Napa Transportation Authority, to assist us with that because we've hit a snag with Caltrans. Right now, it's getting better, but we're still waiting on certain certifications from them to be authorized to go out to construction. Silver Oak Restroom will be completed as far as design and hopefully out to bid. Northampton Restroom, the same place and the shade structure. The East American Canyon Road Guardrail Project should be substantially completed, if not completed and ready to go out to advertise. And the Broadway sewer completion design, that includes the sewer crossing from Watson Ranch. They asked the city to take that on, and we're waiting on an encroachment permit from Caltrans. Again, we asked for Napa Valley Transportation Authority to help us with Caltrans as we hit a snag with the encroachment permit where we can pothole the utilities in advance of going out to construction. So we confirm what the utilities are and also get Caltrans go ahead and blessing on what we do with the actual construction project. And then we plan to award design contracts for the Rancho Del Mar Phase 2. For those who aren't familiar, we only did the east side of Rancho Del Mar, and we plan to further the improvements on the west side of Rancho Del Mar, which includes that section of Donaldson Way that we could not complete 2 years ago or a year and a half ago because the utilities, the sewer and water need to be completed. So that'll make a lot of people happy. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. If I missed a project you wanted to hear about and didn't today, or questions about.
Thank you, Erica. Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes, thank you for this report. It's a better one than the last one. Yeah, just as another rule of thumb on the potholing concept, it seems to me older parts of town, it might be smarter to pay the potholing up front just to know what you're dealing with, because, you know, unlike Vintage Ranch or newer neighborhoods that we know were built according to today's standards, you know, the older parts of town were built by who knows how or what. So just as an FYI, it would seem to make sense to include potholing up front.
Well, it will be included in Rancho Phase 2. We learned our lesson on this one. Knightsbridge, we did do the potholing. Benton Way, we did do the potholing. Staff, actually, city staff, street staff did the potholing on Benton Way. So we knew what those utilities were.
Yeah, ironically, those were newer streets. So, yeah, but at any rate, so that's another, you know, rule of thumb to think of. RSA Plus, how much work have we used them for on estimating?
Recently, we currently have the crossing with them. That was a formal RFP. We have them on our on-call list.
Yeah.
And then we recently tagged them for the park projects. That's
Okay.
about the only projects we have them on. Actually, that is the only projects, the Wetlands Edge, Silver Oak, Northampton, and the sewer crossing.
Okay. It might be worth a conversation with NVTA about RSA Plus, and we'll just leave it ominously at that. The third point is Green Island Road as an example of big projects versus little projects. The extra enthusiasm on that, because it's like a $10 or $12 million project, might be illustrative of, you know, you get more action on a $12 million project than a $500,000 project. So that will be good, though, because that project, if you can save $500,000, that's some real money that can be used. The last one on sewer SS4, so we're doing it for Watson Ranch. Are they reimbursing us?
Yes.
Okay,
The
well,
design and the construction, yes.
Okay,
The
that's-
crossing, the SS4 was already identified in the 2016 master plan to
so
be increased.
they're just paying for the crossing under the highway?
Yes.
And we're doing the parallel
The
section?
north-south, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Oral?
Yeah, I know you went through a lot. I want to talk about the Green Island project. We did get federal assistance funding from the Office of Management and Budget, which was approved, and then on January 27th, it was supposed to be on hold. On January 29th, the Trump administration rescinded that order, and then we didn't know if we were getting the money. Are we getting the money? Or does that, and how much is that money? I'd like the public to understand what happened during this process here, and are we still in jeopardy?
Yeah, sure. So the amount of our funding, federal funding for that part is about $5.5 million. We, in October, began to ask them for authorization to go out to bid, giving them documents. It was a fairly lengthy process under the prior administration. When the new administration came into being, they had a lot of their projects, a lot of their funding, they put pauses on or stops on, and so we became concerned about this funding source. We've been assured by our contacts there that this funding is available to us, and so we're proceeding forward with the award. So we have a letter from them that says our project grant is still intact, and it's on their letterhead, and I assume the person who signed it has the authority to say those things. It's scary. I will certainly say that. Now it's $5.5 million. I don't think this project can go forward without that funding. Most of the funding for the project comes from the property owners. It is really a public-private partnership. The property owners tax themselves extra. They voted to tax themselves extra to pay for, a substantial part of this project. We are looking for the federal government to honor what they said they were going to do, several years ago now. So $5.5 million is there, and we're hoping it's still there. We keep in regular contact with them, and they're sharing what they can, and they're saying it's there at this point.
So the $5.5 million is a total of how much is that project? Probably
The estimate is
15.
15 million. Yeah, so they're about a third of it. Yeah, And was there a new memo? Was it just the council got the rescission on January 29th? Was there a new memo that you had?
We have something specific from the granting agency, from our contact with them, actually their supervisor, that says what I was initially communicating to the council was the broad presidential kinds of orders and things. What we have is from the granting agency, the personnel at the actual agency with our actual project, very, very more specific just to us, and saying it's there.
And that 5.5 million, if it's paid out, when will it be paid out? Upon project completion, or?
It's a reimbursement basis, which is pretty common on federal grants, so we will incur the expense. We will submit monthly reports to them in their very specialized federal formats, and then they're due to reimburse us for certain expenses.
So the faster we get this project done, the faster we can get this money back before it changes again.
Yes.
Okay.
Ideally, we probably should bill them first.
Yes. They wouldn't know. Thank you.
Councilmember Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the public can hear, or seen here, that there's definitely a lot of projects going on, both new and maintenance projects. But I do want to recognize the Public Works Department. I want to recognize Director Smitties and, of course, Assistant Director Norman Woods. For the whole month of March, they took me on tour of the water treatment plant, where I learned about the conventional and the membrane filters. I then went on to the water reclamation facility, where I learned about the live organisms and the pods, the influent and influent flows of water and things of that nature. I then went to the corporate yard, where they took me on Oat Hill, and I learned about some of the challenges that they do have over there, which, of course, we would love to help them at. And of course, they took me up to Oat Hill, and I saw the beautiful views, and it was just amazing. Hats off to our Public Works Department. I don't know if the public knows how hard they actually work for our city. Again, thank you for that. And if the public wants to know more about it, there's a Citizens Academy, and I challenge my colleagues to go out there and go on field trips as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I grossly erred here, and we missed the courtyard relocation, that we got out of the 205 wetlands as far as physically out of the offices by little bit. 1 week into January, we had some internet issues with the new facility, but we still have some work finally to do that. So probably not quite getting out of the field side of it by June 30th, but we're going to do our darndest to do that. But that should be on this list of accomplishments.
Thank you, Erica. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll move on to, you do?
I just wondered, the Napa Junction connection, did you mention that?
No, actually, this is only the capital project accomplishments, but the developer of Oat Hill is actively working on the connection, Napa Junction punch through to Hess Road.
Because that's going to be nice. I have all the trucks going by, and it's nice to see them.
Go ahead, Gina.
Since I'm still here. I stayed, see? I stayed. Gina Griggs, thank you very much for allowing me to comment. So I'm really excited about all these projects because I don't like potholes, because there's potholes to get to the park, and then there's potholes, like on Green Island Road, which I drive home from Napa every day, and I take Green Island Road because it's great, because I avoid all of that highway traffic. And I get to Green Island Road, and I'm like, you know what? One of these days, I'm going to be stuck here, because I'm going to hit a pothole that is going to be just unforgiving. So I'm very excited about that project. Very excited. And I just want to put a little plug in for safety. I've talked about this before, but since we're working with Caltrans, I would love it if at some point they would figure out how to move the crosswalk at Real Del Mar across Highway 29 to the south side instead of the north side, because again, I drive there every morning and every evening, and there are always people that are trying to cross and cars that are trying to turn left, and it makes zero sense. And while we're on the subject of safety, people are speeding through Watson Ranch up that hill. There are no speed bumps. That would be great. And it would also be fantastic if there were trash cans all throughout Watson Ranch, and dog poop bags. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll close public comment. And thank you, Erica, for your presentation.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to our mayor and council comments and committee reports, starting with you, Vice Mayor.
Well,
I just want one more plug. We have our LLAD Zone 1, 2 pop-up meeting starting. April 8th will be the Lavinier, or Zone 1, Via Bellagio, the Lavinier subdivision zone meeting pop-up at 6 o'clock next Tuesday. Signs should be going out, or should be up at the barricade, and public outreach will be going. Mailers were sent last week, and then April 23rd will be the Vintage Ranch, which will be held at Silver Oak. Next week's is at Via Bellagio at 6. And then the Silver Oak on April 23rd will be at 6 p.m. At Silver Oak Park. If you haven't gotten the memo already, or let me know, but the mailers did go out last week. So.
Thank you, Erica.
Sorry about that.
Vice Mayor Joseph.
well, I did not get my written report in again, but as I reviewed the other council's reports, I discovered that everything I did, they were there and they commented on. So I figure I'm covered. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the Irish cultural event that the Art Foundation did last Friday was a big success. And if you weren't there, you missed out. And that the ParkFest Art Extravaganza is coming up May 17th, that if Clarence was still here, he would have probably made a plug himself. And of course, Juneteenth will be June 15th. And if Brenda had stuck around, she would have made a plug for it herself. So I'm plugging for those events. My colleagues covered everything I did officially. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember David Oral.
Oh, well, I wrote mine down. I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lamartina.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Cruz.
Nothing to report, but I didn't get a chance to thank Gina and her Community Cats presentation. Thank you for that. So I just want to say, since you've incorporated in November 23, a lot less feral cats in my neighborhood. So thank you and your team and all that you do. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cruz. I also submitted my report, but I do have one thing that has happened over the last maybe 72 hours that I do want to make mention of. There was some social media stuff going around town about a San Francisco comedy club that want to perform here in American Canyon. And I believe that some of the information that was put out was false, and I want to kind of correct it on the record. The promoter of that San Francisco comedy club is saying that I was not welcoming to the promoters that wanted to come here. Which is opposite of what I was trying to do. What I was trying to do was protect the residents of our city in several ways. One way being that I wanted to make sure that it was not something that was a false or a scam type outreach to our community. Everything was there was a lot of inconsistencies in what that promoter was submitting. They were saying they wanted to do a comedy show at our high school, but they only named the event as a American Canyon Theater, which does not exist in American Canyon. Several people reached out to me to tell me that, we were submitting our online request for tickets and it was going to Davis. So there were several things that were going wrong with that. And I reached out to our city manager to find out if he knew about it. I included everyone on council when I communicated to the school district. I communicated to the principal of the high school, all of which did not know anything about the event. I also included our police chief in it because I know for a fact that an incident like that where event like that's going to be promoted and then brought into our city is going to bring in the elements of crime. So I welcome the promoter to call me or talk to me, but he has not yet done so. But I don't want anybody believing the hype that you may read on American Canyon happenings that says that I am against and not welcoming to businesses coming into American Canyon for entertainment, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. I just want it done right. I want it done in a process that is that will be safe for everyone, including the people purchasing the tickets. So I questioned and I opened the door now to the person who's promoting it to reach out to me, and so we could do it the right way. So I could tell the police department what's going to happen. Our city manager is aware, fire department is aware. The Napa Valley Unified School District is also aware of what's going to possibly go on at their property. There are no way that the school district is going to allow alcohol sales, smoking and not be part of that, of making sure that our city is safe. So I don't want to go on and on and on about it, but I caution anyone who is either watching this to, when you read and when you look at stuff on social media and some of the things that the promoter is saying from an insultive way, it's not going to be tolerated. And I will put you out that if you are trying to do business in American Canyon, do it right. It's not going to happen on my watch. So that's all I have to say for my committee report. And I was not prepared to say that 3 days ago. Moving on to future agenda items. Anyone on council with future agenda items? Hearing none, I say that we have concluded our business for this evening, and we are adjourned. Good night, American Canyon.